Ooh, pretty. Good afternoon, YouTube. So I'm out here messing with the Trans Am today. We've been having some cutout issues on it, and I've tried everything. At first, it was E68 fuel that we got winter blend and we put in it. At first, I thought that was the issue because I know for sure if your car is tuned for E85 and you put E68 in it, it's not going to run right. And I've been through that before on my car, the 96 Camaro with the 5.3 on it. Now, it does have computer controlled, but it's not flex fuel. So when I have an ethanol sensor in there, so when as the ethanol percentage changes on that sensor, I change it in the tune. But if y'all go back a few videos or keep following the channel, you'll know that I went and got a dyno tune when I first put that 5.3 in there, and we left the stowage E85, and then when I went and got winter blend E85 and put in there, the car started running like pure crap. So I had to get the sensor and get it in there and see what the percentage was and change the stowage and then retune it. So now when the stowage or when the ethanol percentage changes, I just change the, there's a mathematic formula where you can figure out the stowage based on the percentage of ethanol you got in your fuel. And then I plug that into the computer and it runs just perfect. But we first thought that was the issue, but it wasn't the issue on his car. This is the blow-through carbureted small block Chevy Trans Am. So we went and got some Renegade Nitrous Pro, or Renegade Pro E85, I'm sorry. Renegade Nitrous Pro is what we used to run in our standalone when we ran nitrous on this car. But we went and got some aftermarket E85 fuel and put it in there, hoping that would fix it. It did not fix it. So I put a different coil on the car. That didn't fix it. I got a new cap rotor and a magnetic pickup for the distributor. That didn't fix it. I checked the fuel pressure, make sure it was going up with a boost. That didn't fix it. I checked a bunch of things. I can't remember everything I checked, but long story short, I sent the ignition box in for testing, which we run the 6AL programmable to. It came back good. So we sent the carburetor in to Kevin at CSU. We bought this carburetor used off of Marketplace. It was in pretty rough shape, but it worked pretty good. But we let him go through it, and I don't know if he said it was the front or the back, but one of the power valves was not opening. The diaphragm was so it was, you know, they're like rubber, and then the rubber's old, it gets real hard. It was real hard and it just wouldn't open. So hopefully that's what the issue was. And Chris got some dual needle and seat fuel bowls. Kevin at CSU put those on there, and you know, put the extensions for the power valve and the jets, because these are a lot deeper than the stock bowls. So you can see the difference. Way bigger. The bowl on this one ends right there. So you can see it sticks out way further. But he put those on there for us, and we had some screws that were stripped out. There was two of these that he re-drilled them out and put helicals in them. We had an incident at the track where one of the wastegate lines come off and it shot up to 30 psi boost, and it blew our carb hat off and blew a hole in our hood. But he tapped that out and helicoiled that as well. So we're going to put this all back on and see if everything's fixed. But the way these, see, that's hitting my spacer, so I'm going to have to grind some of the spacer down to get it on there, and I'm going to have to do some cleaning on the gasket, and then we'll put the ignition box back in, the carburetor back on, hook everything up, see if it works. lady in the car pushing on the gas to see if the throttle blades all open all the way up. They don't, so we need to readjust that. Further than that. There you go. Okay. Here I'm checking to make sure the screws on the accelerator pump isn't hitting our spacer where I had to clearance that. And I'm having a hard time getting the camera in there. Finally got a good view of it, and it looks good to me. And we got to check the back side too. Looks good to me. Alright, there we go. As y'all saw, there is enough clearance where I had to grind that out some on both sides. And then unfortunately this arm was supposed to reach around and go on that bolt. Well, this bolt's too big for that. So I cut the arm off, and it's up against the accelerator pump there. So there's no way it can twist in, which when you hit the gas and this pulls, it's going to try to push this forward. So that'll keep it from going that way. There's nothing to keep it from going this way. But that bolt's really tight and I don't see it moving. See, I'm flexing the whole thing. So I don't think it'll go anywhere. If not, Chris will have to get a different bracket. But yeah, got it all back on. Now let's run the fittings for the fuel lines and put the fittings on. So these are 6 AN holes. So I got 6 AN to 8 AN fittings. Put that on. Now before we put the carb hat or anything on, we're going to go ahead and turn the pump on. But when we turn the pump on, we're just going to cycle it until the bolts fill up. Kevin said not to go full blast and let that fill up. Kind of off on the fuel pump until it fills up. Alright, now we're just checking, make sure nothing leaks. It's got fuel in there. No, I see no leaks. Oh, yeah, I do. Oh no, that's where I hit the gas. Alright. Oh, it's coming out of that booster. It's leaking out of there for some reason. It's the only leak I see though. If I turn the pump off, it's still leaking. Alright, I called Kevin. The bowls were getting too full, so we lowered those on all four corners. He said to start it up and get it up to temp. He's going to call me back and go over setting up the idle mixture screws. But he said to start it without the pump on. Alright, let's see if it starts. I get one. Wow. This thing sat forever and I just barely hit the starter and it started. And the fuel pump wasn't even turned on. Well, it's not leaking from the boosters anymore. Unfortunately, our liquid-filled fuel pressure gauge is not reading correctly. It's only reading like 4. And I put a real gauge on it that I use on my fuel injection car, and it said it was around 8.85. So we need to get a better gauge for that we can see the numbers better and set that to 6 or 7. All right, about got her licked. Got everything hooked up. Kevin said on these to go in a quarter a turn and kind of go in a circle on the idle air mixtures. Just a quarter turn until the motor starts to bog down. And then when it does, bring that one back. I always thought these have to be even, but they don't. He said whatever one it labors on, just bring it back and leave the rest alone. So that's what I did. And got everything hooked up. And it starts really good. I wish my fuel injection car started this good. No matter how much tune I mess with on that fuel injection car, it doesn't start near as good as this one. Look. Once it warms up, it idles at like 13.8, 13.9. But all there's left to do now is to finish. I put the ignition box back in too. He's got it in there where it goes in there, and then bolts come up from the bottom of the glove box. I just got to tighten those up and test it. Unfortunately, where they tested the ignition box, I don't know what program, I don't know what tune is in there, and my laptop hard drive went out on me, so I had to order one of those. So my desktop is right by the front door in the bedroom. There's 2 doors on the front of the house. So tomorrow we'll try to pull the car up next to that front door, and that cord's pretty long. Hopefully it'll reach. But we'll get a tune on it and then we'll test it. So see you then. Y'all cross your fingers that this thing's fixed. It sure does look better on there with it being rebuilt and those dual needle and seat bowls. But if I'll get a video of testing it tomorrow. But if it's fixed, I'll be racing it this weekend in a no prep race.